Today, I am talking about your ideal client. Why knowing who they are and being really, really specific about their problems and why that's so important. Why everybody keeps talking about it. Hey, love, you're listening to the Mums in Biz Show, and I'm Nick Torrey. Every week, I'll bring you the unvarnished version of what it means to be a mum running a brilliant business, what you need to be doing to get it to where you want it to be, and a healthy dose of how to get the heck out of your own way. Let's dive in. Hello. Welcome to the Mums in Biz Show today, ladies. I am super excited to be here with you. Welcome to the Mums in Biz Show today. This is episode 13. And today I am talking about your ideal client. Why knowing who they are and being really, really specific about their problems and why that's so important. Why everybody keeps talking about it. And I'm going to give you some tips on how you can start to get on top of that as well. So make sure that you stay tuned. Why I'm talking about ideal client today is because next to mindset, which is where Inspired Impact is inspired from, is I think that ideal client and really knowing what the core foundation is for your business in that space is the second most important thing that you can do to get results in your business. Okay. And I genuinely believe that. I think the most important thing that you can do is figure out where your mindset is holding you back, and have tips and have things that you do on a regular basis to become aware of the thought patterns that are going on. And I think that is the number one most important thing you can do for your business. Second thing, though, that you can be doing is ideal client, and that's why I'm talking about it today. So what is your ideal client? Now, I'm sure that you have seen a lot of trainings around ideal client. I'm sure you've heard people talk about it. You potentially have worked with a business coach who has helped you work through who your ideal client is. You would have to have been living under a rock in the online world not to have heard somebody talking about why ideal client is important. But let me tell you what that means for me. So I think that in terms of your ideal client and who that is the one person that you really want to be helping. It's the one person you want to be making an impact for. And it's the person who is the reason why your business exists. So when I work with my clients and the people who are in the Mums in Biz tribe, one of the things that we work through is what is the purpose of your business? I really believe very strongly, actually, that as mums in business, we need connection. And we don't only need connection to find our tribe and our community and have the support that we need and all of that kind of stuff. I think that we need it in a really heart-centered way. We need to be connected to our business. And that's why I think that nailing your business purpose is important, because once you know what the impact is that you want to create through your business, the purpose, why it exists and what you're wanting to be doing, then that's one of the things that helps you do what it takes to grow. Yes, your why is important. Yes, the external motivators around your why and your ideal life and where you want to get to are super important. But if you nail your purpose, that's another piece of the puzzle. An ideal client will help you get there. Okay? What ideal client isn't is just a mix of demographics. It's not about sitting down and saying, okay, my ideal client is a male or a female of a certain age range, a certain language speaking, they might live in a certain country or a particular location, and they have this need. That is scratching the surface of ideal client. And what I want to do today is delve into that a little bit more deeply for you so that you can start to put in place more depth in how you're describing your ideal client and what that means for you and your business. Okay? It's important for results in marketing because if you are not speaking to one person, and that's how specific you need to get with your ideal client, you may have heard people use the word avatar, your client avatar. There's lots of different ways to describe it. If you're not speaking to one person, then you're not you're not really, you're trying to speak to everyone, and so no one listens. And so if that's you, and if you're not really specific in the message and how you're delivering your message to market, however you choose to do that, then that's why you're not getting the results that you could be getting in your business. Now, I'm not saying that you're not going to make any money if you don't have your ideal client nailed. What I am saying is that in order to reach those heights that you're dreaming about in your business, the detail is really important, because that helps you get very specific on your message. And that means your marketing is speaking directly to the heart of your ideal client, and they then want to know more from you, and they want to get to know you, and they want to connect with you. Hopefully that makes sense. And so for me, that's why ideal client is so important. It's why it is the second most important thing that I think you can be doing in your business. Now, there are 3 things that I want to talk about today that are really important for you to start to get a handle on. Now, you all know that I am an advocate for market research, and that I think it's super important that you put time and effort into market research and finding out where those themes are. I actually can't talk about it enough. I don't have enough time today to tell you how to do market research, though. I do have some detailed training coming out about that in the near future, so make sure that you look out for that. But once you do that, you want to start to get down to that deep understanding of who is my ideal client and what is the core problem that I am solving for them. So yes, there's your demographics. Yes, there's knowing specifically what sort of profession are they in? Do they have children? Are they of a particular age? Do they have hobbies or interests? What are the things that will kind of bring all of your ideal client to you? When you think about the people that you absolutely love working with, what are the things about them that you love about working with them? All of that stuff is really important. But then when you get into their core problem, that's where the gold actually is. So core problem is, what is the thing that you are solving for? What is the problem that your ideal client has that you believe you are perfectly positioned to fix? So that will happen at 2 levels. You will have the surface problem that they have, and so that is the pain point. So you might have heard people talk about pain point. So for my ideal client, they are professional mums in small business. They are wanting to grow their business. They've probably already started it. It might be in a hobby status, or it might be, rumbling along quite nicely, but they really want to up level. But the pain point that they're feeling is they're not hitting the revenue goals that they want to. They're not seeing the growth. They're not being able to up level in the way that they sort of planned out. And so they've got this plan and they're doing stuff, but it's not generating results for them. But that's actually their surface problem. Because I know that the problem that sits underneath that is, what are their foundational beliefs? Where is their confidence sitting at? How deeply do they understand their ideal client? How deeply have they thought about the solutions that they're selling? And a whole bunch of mindset stuff. And the reason I know that is from market research and from working with clients and seeing time and time again that while this is the problem they're looking to solve, there's a bunch of stuff that sits underneath here that they also need help with. The exact problem that you're solving for your ideal client is really, really critical. And knowing it on both of those levels, the surface problem and the one that is really at the center of everything. It's the key to the marketing objective. Sell them what they want and give them what they need. Okay? So you want to be able to speak to that surface problem, the pain point that they just want to go away. You need to be able to speak to that. You need to have a solution for that. But you also need to know that in order to create full transformation for them, or to really solve that surface problem that they've got, you need to be able to also help them fix the underlying issue. And that needs to be part of your solution as well. And so understanding it on both levels means that you will be able to create a transformation for them, and that's what builds your reputation, because then they're going to shout from the rafters about how amazing you are and how you really understood exactly what was driving the issues that they were seeing in my example that I'm giving you in their business. So core problem, that's the first thing that you really want to make sure that you're delving into in a lot of depth with your ideal client and mapping out who they are. Okay. Now, there's a reason I've started with that one, because we tend to, the next two that I'm going to talk about, they're more common, but I want you to focus on core problem. If you do nothing else from today's episode, I want you to focus on core problem. Okay. The second point is starting to get out to who are they, where do they hang out, and how do they talk? Now, again, you're going to get this from your market research. You're going to find out a little bit more about them. You're going to find out some of their interests. You're going to find out some characteristics about them that sit a bit more deeply than just demographics. So, for example, for my ideal client, they are somebody who has worked in corporate. They're somebody who has potentially tried the stay-at-home mum thing but doesn't want to not work at all. But they know that they need to find a way to do that where they can spend more time with their kids. They're driven to be able to be the mum, the ideal mum that they really dream about, but still make an impact for people. So you can see that I've started to understand some more detail about my ideal client and who they are and what they're looking for and what their life is like. You know, they've got chaos just like everybody else. I know that because I have chaos just like everybody else. You know, I have a 2-year-old who sometimes sleeps and sometimes doesn't sleep. I have a little girl going into school next year, and I have all of the chaos that comes with that, and fitting together life and business and working with corporate clients and all of that kind of stuff. I know that my ideal client hangs out on social media. I know that that's a great place to connect with them. Your clients may hang out somewhere differently. Maybe it's a physical location, maybe network groups, maybe particular community centres. It may be that they're of a particular age group and electronic mechanisms just aren't going to work for them because they're not online, or they don't follow an email list, or whatever the case may be. You need to know those things about your ideal client. You need to know where they're going to hang out so that you are relying on the right marketing mechanisms to reach them. Hopefully that makes sense. There is a lot that's being taught today about, you know, just a rinse and repeat cycle with online marketing. And I don't believe that that will work for everybody. It's really important for you to know exactly where your ideal client is going to be hanging out and the sorts of copy that is going to resonate with them, whether that's written, verbal, video like this. I know that my ideal client really like video or audio, but I connect with people really well on video, and so that's my chosen medium. So those sorts of things are really important. And then the final one around this point is, how do they talk? So often you want to speak like yourself. You want to be authentic. Of course you do. You need to, you know, speak the way that you speak. But you understand the services or products that you're providing really, really well because you're the subject matter expert in that space. But your ideal client might not know anything about what you do. And so often when we're a subject matter expert in our space, we use fancy language. And that doesn't mean anything to our ideal client. They don't care about the fancy words that we know that describe why our thing, our widget, our service, whatever the case may be, is the panacea to their problems. You know, they don't care. But if you're able to know how they do talk about your solution and the types of words that they use when they talk about it, then you can weave that through your marketing message. And that's really, really powerful because it's like then they're talking to an equal instead of being intimidated by somebody who clearly knows heaps about this and I would love to work with them, except that I'm pretty sure they're out of my league. Can you see how that could be a problem? It's something that I learned very early on in my consulting career because consultants are renowned for using way too many words to describe something, and I had to work really, really hard not to do that. And when I did get that right, it made a massive difference with how I was able to generate results and build relationships with my clients. It is no different in small business. So how do they talk? You're going to get that from your market research as well. Whether you're doing data mining in Facebook groups, interviewing people, you might be doing surveys and things like that. Actually, to find out how they really talk, interviewing is one of the best ways to do it. Just jump on the phone with someone or take someone out to coffee, and make sure that you capture the things that they're actually saying as you have a conversation. It's really, really important. Okay, so that brings me to point number 3 of the things that I want you to focus on with your ideal client this week. I want you to nail it this week and tell me how it went, okay? And the final point is, what are they interested in and how do you build your tribe? Connection is critical. And I think more than ever, we need that element of being able to pull together a group of our ideal client and create some connection. I think that I don't believe that the online marketing model will go away, but I do believe it's going to change. And I think that it's really important for you to have multiple facets to the way that you're marketing. And so that's really important for you for a couple of reasons. One, it subscribes to the don't put all your eggs in one basket theory. But 2, if you're building real connection with people, you build your know, like, and trust factor much, much faster. And people buy from people that they know, like, and trust. And so knowing what your ideal client is interested in, and we did actually talk about that a little bit in the last point, but knowing what they're interested in around their core problem, knowing what they're interested in terms of what an ideal solution looks like for them. So knowing their core problem, knowing what the pain point is that you're solving for is one thing, but do you understand what their ideal solution looks like? That could be really, really important, because you might either overshoot the runway or go way too narrow in what you're trying to sell them to solve their problem. Okay? And so you need to know what that ideal solution looks like for them, so that, or what they're interested in, the thing that's likely to make them go, oh, actually, I need to know a little bit more about that, so that you can get your messaging right. And that will also help you understand how to build connection with them and how to build your tribe. So again, an example for my ideal client, the Facebook group is a great way for me to build that connection. Yeah, my ideal client don't mind hanging out in a Facebook group. They quite enjoy a group that has a great vibe and is really supportive and isn't full of lots of, just self-promotion and has lost its depth. And so that's a great way for me to do that. I know of some people who have been able to do that really, really successfully through their email list, or maybe they're using Instagram to build a tribe, or maybe face-to-face is absolutely the way to go for your ideal client, and you need to be facilitating some kind of regular catch-up or a networking event or some kind of support group. Depending on who your ideal client is and what you're trying to build in terms of your business and where you want that to go long term, all of those elements will help you work out what the best way to build connection with your ideal client is going to be. Podcasts are another great example of how a lot of business leaders are creating a tribe these days. So it doesn't need to be physical. It doesn't need to enable that back and forth. Podcast is a very one-way delivery, but there are lots of industries where that's working really, really well. Obviously, business coaching is one of them, but what's another example? So I know of a lady in America who has a really successful business now, and the way that she built her tribe following was she just did a bunch of different short videos and uploaded them to YouTube, and it got a huge amount of following because she was speaking directly to her ideal client. Now, her ideal client was people who were interested in sustainability and homegrown. I think it's called homesteading in the States, so this concept of homesteading and how do you provide all your own food and how do you preserve things, like that's really niche. But she built a massive tribe because her people, she knew that they were hanging out on YouTube because they were Googling how to do stuff. And they came across her, and then they followed her, and she consistently delivered content, and that was how she built her business. Now, there were obviously other aspects to her business model and how that worked, but that was one of the things that worked really well for her for building her tribe. So sometimes you know the details of your ideal client. Sometimes you know their core problem. You've done all of this work. You've gotten really specific. You know where they are. You know how they like to talk. You know the messages that are going to really resonate with them. And yet, we still don't seem to be able to get our connection and rapport happening. Like, how do you convert them into paying clients? Why isn't it working? I've done all the things. And that often does come down to beliefs and confidence. Sure, there are things that you can improve about your offer. You can optimize the way you're delivering it. Do you have the benefits described in a really compelling way? You know, are you leading with benefits? Are you using the right testimonials or case studies? Or what are the things that are going to work? Your pricing structure, you go through the value you add. All of that stuff are things that you can optimize around that ideal client detail. But you might have everything perfect and still not see the conversions that you would like to see. That is because you don't really believe that you can have the kind of business that has the level of clientele that you're targeting. And it's a foundational belief, and you probably don't even realize that that's a problem for you right now. And you can't trick your mind into thinking otherwise. We are smart women. We brought children into the world. We raised them and kept them alive so far. I know that you are a smart woman, and I know if you're anything like me, you're great at overthinking stuff, and you're great at going around in circles in your head trying to find the next solution, because as mums, that's what we do. We're solution makers. We fix problems. We come up with new ways to solve issues for our kids and our families and the chaos that sometimes is mum life. You can't trick your mind into thinking otherwise. And sometimes all we do is exacerbate the anxiety when we do feel those little, doubts and unhelpful beliefs bubbling up. You kind of push it down and go, I can't think that, because I know that if I think that, that's going to undermine my success. But as we know, pushing things down doesn't work. You have to actually deal with it, yeah? So sorting out where you're at in terms of mindset and your thoughts is the single most important thing that you can focus on to move your business forward. When you have those underlying beliefs about yourself, your business, your ability to create transformation or results for your clients, and you don't address them, then your brain is hardwired to hold you back. Pursuing something that you don't really believe is possible is kind of futile, right? It's an unsafe thing. And the whole goal of all of the evolution that has created this amazing organ that is our brain is to keep us safe, comfortable, and alive. Yeah. And so it's not impossible. It just means you need to be really deliberate about how you go about starting to turn around some of those core beliefs that are sitting underneath everything that you maybe haven't acknowledged yet. So that's what Inspired Impact is all about. And that's a wrap for today's episode. If you enjoy listening to the Mums in Biz show, I would love for you to leave us a review on iTunes, and be sure to post a snap of you enjoying the show on Instagram and tag me at Nicole.Tuerick. You can also join in the conversation with me in the Mums in Biz tribe on Facebook. I look forward to seeing you in the next episode of the Mums in Biz show.